Hey guys, I'm Rex here with the top 10 best solo queue AD carries for the game of League of Legends. Now feel free to comment with anything that you feel is wrong with this video or any suggestions for my future videos, and be sure to subscribe guys so you don't miss any updates regarding patches and changes in the meta. Starting my list off at number 10 is going to be Twitch. Twitch is a champion that doesn't get enough recognition in the community for being really strong in the game. He really has no weak point in the game, and he continues to be a threat throughout the entire game. He also has the ability to get first blood very easily, and he is multi-role, being assassin and so forth. So I think Twitch is really strong. The only downside is he is very squishy, and it does take a little bit of skill to get used to him, but overall Twitch is a great starting champion. Next on my list is going to be Quinn. Quinn's a great champion for the bot lane. She has huge amounts of mobility, great gap closing abilities, and she can face check with her W, granting huge amounts of vision. And the only downside to Quinn is, she does have a little small auto attack range, and her ultimate isn't really much of a range ability, so it is a little bit of a skill. I tend to use it more of a getaway rather than an engage, but that's just my personal opinion, and I think Quinn is a great champion and deserves to be on this list. Flying at number 8 on my list is going to be Corki. Now Corki is a great champion with his ability to have that huge amount of escape, and that great gap closing ability. On top of that, he's got great burst damage and huge amounts of true damage with his passive. Corki is just great in the bot lane, and the only downside is usually his mana, and his ultimate can be a bit of a problem if you tend to spam it too much and you're not reserving enough missiles. So that's just a little drawback to Corki, but I think Corki works very well in the bot lane and deserves some recognition. Coming number 7 else is going to be Ezreal. Now Ezreal's a great champion for the solo queue scene, as he can also go AD, AP. He's got good escapes, he's got great potential as becoming a snowballer, and once he gets started he doesn't stop. He's got a good range poke, and the only downside to him is he can have man issues, in particular if you want to spam to get your ultimate back. And some things are very expensive, like his build. Some items that some people like to throw in there is like Trinity Force and things like that. They do cost a lot of money, and it does require him to farm a lot. Next on my list is Draven. Draven's a great champion in the bot lane. He does a huge amounts of damage, and even after his change, he does have a lot of significance in the game. He has the ability to pretty much just farm, which you're supposed to do anyway, and get huge amounts of gold. So you always have an edge, even if you're down in the bot lane, and this allows you to basically be really just a top dog in the game, do the most amount of damage up until the late game where everyone owns every item, and even after then, it's not too much of a deal. And his high damage and his cooldown resets just allows him to be one of the best in the bot lane. Next on my list is Jinx. Now Jinx is a great champion, especially if you got the chance to play her during her free week. You understand that she does a huge amounts of damage, has the best wave clearing problem of any ADC, and her global ultimate just allows her to kind of secure those kills. Additionally, she has strong poke with her E, that zap ability, and the only downside is she has no real form of escape, and she has low range when using the shark form rather than the cannon, and she can be man intensive if you tend to spam, but isn't much of a problem once you get used to her. I think Jinx has a lot of potential in the solo queue, and she can carry without really a good support, so I think Jinx is a great choice. Next on my list is Sivert. After her change, a lot of people saw she had more potential than ever before. She's got huge amounts of burst damage, and her spell shield ability, which lasts 3 seconds, allows you to block any sort of incoming damage and gain back in mana. Her sustain in the bot lane is just really good, and she has a lot of potential. The only downside is her ultimate is only team based. It's not really a con because it does help your team a lot, and that's very crucial. But it doesn't give you the extra damage which other ADCs have. And her boomerang skill shot and her mana issues are the real major drawbacks. Her attack range is about average, but I think Sivert works very well in the bot lane, and you guys should check her out. She's a 450 champ. If you haven't already played her, go out and do so, because that's like 2 games played, and you won't regret it. Next on my list is Vayne. Now Vayne is a kind of a bit of a tricky pick here, because if you don't have a really good support in the early game, you can fall back and you won't have the potential to have any significance in the late game. But she does have that true damage, which is really crucial, and she is like the late game beast, like I said, but you need to have that early game. You need to have at least ganks, and you need to have a good support, but I think she works very well, and she has the single highest target damage in the game. She has, the really strong getaway, especially if you pop her ultimate, which allows you to go invisible, so you can out-juke anyone, and you can just secure yourself without actually having the risk to die. Other than, and on top of the early game problem, I did say, she does have the lowest stats of any base champion in the game, so that is something to take into effect when you're picking your runes and masteries with her, because she is really weak the early game. Like I said though, with a good support, that's not much of a problem, and I think if you are duo queuing, she is the way to go. Coming in number 2 on this is going to be Caitlyn. Caitlyn has the longest attack range in the game. She has a great slow and a great getaway. And she has vision traps, so she is one of the champions that really do excel in the bot lane. especially when your support's not there. It does allow you to basically have a comfortable range. When people are approaching, you have that safety net, and that really is awesome. The only downside is her ultimate can be blocked, especially with the Yasuo and people jumping in front of it. It does be annoying. You can't secure kills like every other ADC can, and a good people in the higher ranks, it's not too much of a threat, but you can dodge your Q. You see Wild Turtle and stuff play Caitlyn all the time, so it's not that big of a deal, but it can happen. So you are missing out on a chance to lose damage there. And she has no form of steroids, but Caitlyn is just a great pick. At least have her in your pool of champions, if you're ever playing a rank scene, because if you ever have to go in the ADC role, she's just a great champion. She has a really simple to use kit, so pick her up. Coming in number 1 on my list is going to be Lucian. Now, Lucian's a great champion overall. He's got great harassing and great scaling, and he's got a decent amount of burst damage as well. He's considered a safety pick for the multi-procs. Basically, he has got double the lifesteal on his passive. So, you get something like a Doran's Ring and a Vamp Scepter. It just allows you to have that edge where you can just stay and keep your health regenning. The only downside of him is really his cooldown rates, and his first major item is a Trinity Force, which is very expensive. His poor ultimate isn't much of a deal regarding like split pushing and clearing waves. Doesn't do much damage against enemy champions unless you have huge amounts of attack speed, and he isn't really much of a threat late game, but he does show a presence still, so it is a good pick, and I decided to make him number 1 for this. And if you're hungry for more League, guys, I have the videos posted here. Click any annotation to see which champion works well in which lane, and my personal picks for every lane as well. Additionally, guys, you can subscribe, which I do appreciate very much. So, guys, have a nice day.